Good morning and welcome to Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. I'm your host, Lynn Newman, and today we're going to talk about property. And online property site Rumah.com is represented today by Harlow Russell, who started the site and is now the Vice President for International Operations of the Property Guru Group, which owns Rumah.com. Did I get all that right?
You did, Lynn.
Thank goodness, because the one thing I hate to do is screw up somebody's career by getting all their titles wrong.
No, you got it right. Thank you very much.
Because there's always a phone call. If nobody else watches the show,
that's right.
Somehow or another, the boss watches.
The boss
says,
watches.
What did you say that for?
Yes, and he's probably watching right now.
Hello, boss. He's fine. Yes. Anyway, tell us about Rumah.com. A lot of people who look for property here know about it, but tell us about Rumah.com and how that works.
Right. Well, Rumah.com is a website, and it actually has been in existence for more than 10 years. An Indonesian, grabbed that name, Rumah.com or House.com. But it was never actively really used as a formal business. So when Property Guru Group, which is headquartered in Singapore, was looking at the Indonesian market, of course, we could build a new website with a brand new name, or we could acquire. And looking at the traffic, Rumah.com is such a powerful name.
Oh, it's a great name.
We decided to buy Rumah.com and then revamp the website and put a formal business around it, and that's what we did last year.
And what's the so how long has it been going under you guys?
We started a PMA company just last year, a year ago, March.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Now?
We bought over the domain, and then we revamped the website after a couple of months. So it's basically been active as the current Rumah.com for about 9 months now.
And what's the business model for Rumah.com? How does this work?
Well, Lynn, it's very similar to other websites, typical internet business. So we offer search engine for people looking for property, and we have about 50,000 listings right now on the site. And so for consumers, it's free. And you can search and look to buy, look to sell, or look for information, which is very important for us, our news content. Our actual customers are property agents who subscribe and put their listings on the site, as well as property developers who put their listings on, and then other associated businesses like banks who are very interested in the consumer who is a buyer or a seller.
So the money comes from the sellers and the banks and all these people, and then for me, or the equivalent, absolutely free.
So for consumers, it's absolutely free, much like similar models with job websites or car websites. So for the consumer, you gain access, you gain information fast and easy. The business model is the actual people who have the properties to sell or represent.
What percentage of people want to look for houses online now in Indonesia?
Well, it's a growing number, Lynn, and the best way to look at that is, for instance, last month, we had 1.2 million people, unique visitors, come to the site, and that's growing. So, 1 million people a month, primarily Indonesians, are coming to the site. In terms,
it's all in Indonesian too. It's not an English language site.
Yes,
It's
we will have later. We will probably have a subset, an English language piece of that, but it's primarily done by Indonesians for Indonesians. So basically, but the internet market is growing, as you know. 60, 70 million internet users. The mobile phone users of Indonesia are 100, 120 million and growing. And that's usually what's talked about, internet growth and mobile phone growth. But if you add the third component, which is property growth and interest in property, which is a huge market. You can speak to almost anybody you meet about property. You add all those three together, that's a very interesting business, and that's why we're here in Indonesia.
And it's tracking up and it's working out. It's working out so far.
Absolutely.
Because traditionally here, I guess you look at the website, the Kompas Classifieds or something.
Well, basically, if you ask anybody, you want to buy a house, what's the first thing you do? The traditional way of thinking is, I'll look in the newspaper, say Kompas, classified, or I'll go ask my friend who might be an agent. So this is traditional word of mouth. The use of the internet to search for property, find information, is certainly a newer trend in Indonesia. But in other countries all over the world, from the US, UK, Singapore, you know, the standard response that most people have, I'm interested to buy property, is, oh, of course I'll go online. So it's a trend, and it's a transition that's happening here in Indonesia.
And of course, what's interesting, we're both Americans, from the American point of view now, when I bought a house in the States, I found a neighborhood I liked and drove around and looked at signs until I figured out what, you don't do that here because everybody's behind a compound, and you know, they don't have open houses and this other way of doing things. Of course, there's also a lot of online in the States, but that way of doing things doesn't exist here.
Well, or you just can't do it. So, you know, Jakarta is so macet, let's say, right? And let's say you're in the south, and perhaps for some reason you want to buy in, you know, Kelapa Gading. You literally, you know, you're going to take 3 hours to get there, and then the time it takes is just inefficient. So looking at property online really suits the macet of Jakarta.
It does indeed, yeah. And it's a market that's going to continue to grow. And when we come back, we're almost out of time for this segment. When we come back, I want to talk about the market itself and how it's doing. But in a word, how's the market?
It's growing.
It's growing all the time.
Yeah.
Just like the rest of the economy.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a good news story for Indonesia these days when it comes to the economy, if it lasts, and we hope it does. You're watching Inside Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. Today we're talking about property and online property site Rumah.com. Stay with us.